Obviously, you can't read this, but it's insane. Like, this is an Internet of Things. Look, I'm just going to read the big categories here. Buildings, energy, consumer and home, health and lifestyle, industrial, transportation, retail, security and safety, IT and networks. And then it has application groups, locations, and devices around the outside of this rim. I mean, it's hard to even imagine the categories of big data, never mind the big data itself that we're talking about. I mean, this is how massive a wave it is that's coming. It's a bit shocking. And you know, it goes from the mundane too. So this is a device called the Twine that connects your devices in your house. There's a bunch of things now that gives you smart sensors that sense temperature and moisture and location and motion and vibration that you can just plug your house in and control it with your iPhone. And you know, we're generating it all. It's also via Bluetooth, not only GSM but Wi-Fi. You know, this is a Nest connected thermostat. There's a scale, your trainers, your watches. I mean, individuals are generating tons and tons of data and putting it out there either for public consumption or closed network consumption, so amongst their family members or amongst their friends, that kind of thing. And chips themselves are being laid onto skin. So this is real, this isn't some dream. It is a medical device that you put on your skin and it tells temperature and pulse and there's basically 5 or 6 factors, and you can take a shower. You can, I mean, it is just a feed that connects to your home Wi-Fi that monitors your health. It's a prototype. They've been working on it for a while, but it makes perfect sense. Your doctor's like, go home. I'll keep an eye on you, basically. And so what does it mean? So everything's becoming dynamic. It's becoming real time, highly social and mobile. Local in terms of geolocation and orientation, fluid, and most importantly, predictive. And this is where the big data analysis that we're talking about comes in. You know, predictive is what the future is about. That's what Minority Report was about. It's about being able to predict the future and say, okay, Roy has now left the tube. He is about to buy a coffee. I know this. Now's the time to give him an ad to cross the street to Cafe Nero instead of going to Starbucks in front of him. Like, it's all about that prediction. So GAFA, this is an image from The Economist actually, which I find fascinating, right? Search engine, manufacturer, social media network, online retailer. And yet as far as The Economist is concerned, and many people, this is the competition. This is the battleground. These are the 4 kings fighting for the title. I mean, like 5 years ago, you'd never put that up. Even, you know, definitely not 10 years ago, but even 5 years ago, you'd like, they don't compete with each other. Well, they do in a big data world. And that's what's fundamentally changed. Google first, you know, everyone talks about Google Wallet and payments. It's not about payments, it's about data. It's about understanding that I just left the tube and I'm about to buy a coffee. It's about, you know, what I'm buying, where I am, what I'm seeing, what my interests are, and having a better predictive analysis to target me better. I mean, at the end of the day, they're an advertising network and I'm their product, right? And they want to fill their servers with my data. That's their objective, is to have a better predictive view on what's going to happen next. It is an incredible fire hose. Eric Schmidt said, 5 exabytes of information between the dawn of civilization in 2003. Now, every 2 days, we get about that much information. Here's the actual curve. This is also from Mary Meeker and Kleiner Perkins. I mean, this is in zettabytes. A zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabytes. And the curve is just astronomical. And the trend line is definitely continuing in that direction. So let's be clear. If you use a product, and it's free, then you're the product. And you know, and that's why they bought Waze. You know, Waze is a data generating product. It's a self-mapping product basically. So I'm driving along with Waze on, and I enter traffic, and Waze notifies all the other users that there's traffic or that there's an accident. Waze, it also has some video game characteristics. So Waze wants to improve their view of roads. So if you follow the dots and go off, maybe I wanted to go this way, but if I follow the dots this way, I get points for remapping roads for them, basically. So there's a gamification to it. Jawbone Up is tracking your help. Yelp, everybody knows, you know, ratings and reviews. The big data thing there is amazing. It is the new oil, and the question is, how do you tap into that resource? Most people feel like this. There's a kind of a wash in data. You're like, so what am I supposed to do with that? We're lost, we're a bit rudderless, a lot of ones and zeros, but I'm not sure what to make of it. It really comes down to this. So we're in the early days here, where we're at the collection and input phase, where data is just becoming information, where we're taking a mass amount of data and learning something from it. But really everyone knows that this is the power structure, that I want to take that information, turn it into knowledge, into wisdom, into power over time. Where basically I can turn what was just collection into true content and context, even more importantly, and interpret it wisely. So that my predictions are better. It's this structured thing. The difference between data up here to information, it's slightly more correlated. We understand how it might fit into the bigger picture. To knowledge, we start to really tie it into the whole picture. To wisdom, it makes a coherent, it's a coherent sense of those individual data points. Amex gets this cold. Amex, and this is back in 2011 actually, they said, look, we right now play in this $100 billion payments industry. And that's about that's about transactions. But really what this is all about is post-transaction loyalty, discovery, and evaluation, all based on a platform that uses data at the center of it. And that's a $400 to $500 billion commerce opportunity. Amex understands precisely where the future is lying in terms of how data is going to manifest itself beyond a transactional world to really a relational world, a relational database at the end of the day. They actually put their money where their mouth is. They've done deals with Facebook, Foursquare, and Twitter to integrate Amex transactions into those three players. Apple, everybody wants to know, like, what's Apple going to do, or what is it? And again, it's about the data. So in iOS 6, they launched Passbook, and everyone thought, oh, Passbook is a wallet. It's the Apple wallet. It didn't have wallet functionality. It's not a wallet. It's a data aggregator. That's all it is. It wants to know what I bought at Target, what I watched from Fandango, what I'm drinking at Starbucks, where I'm going with Amtrak. It's just a data aggregator. It's an ability for them to get a better picture of you and your behavior. That's it. The payment side, as Amex just showed, that's 1/5 of the equation. Maybe it's interesting, but not nearly as interesting as the other 4/5. And that's why they don't have an NFC chip. They might use BLE to do some payments, but it's not really about payments for them. It's about data. Big spenders. This is just showing some of the spend that's going on. Google alone spent over $3 billion on infrastructure in 2012. Facebook has also invested $1 billion in infrastructure. Their VP of engineering said, everything we do is a big data problem. So the point here is that big data is data at the end of the day. Like having the data and using the data are two radically different things. And most companies, even today, who do big data projects, they, even if they get good answers out, they don't know what to do with it. So it's very early stage at this point. And part of the problem that I think people have with big data, where they fail or they think that it didn't work, is that they didn't come in with good questions. So the point is, knowing something is interesting only if you know what you're going to do once you find the answer out. And a lot of the projects that happen, that's where the things fall down. At the very beginning, like, what are we trying to discover? Like, yeah, it would be good to know that. And so what am I going to do differently now that I know that? Versus just using politics to make the decision. So very quickly, there's a ton of change ahead. So for all the change we've seen in the last 5 years, we're going to see way, way more in the next 5, next 10. This is another Mary Meeker chart. I'm not going to walk through it, but amazing amount of change coming up. She says it'll be stunning. We're still in spring training. It's still early days for all of this big data and connectivity stuff. It's not the strongest, it's not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. It is resilience in this market that matters, and the ability to change given data. Not just take the data and go, oh, that's interesting, but take the data and say, okay, we're going to change our procedures, change our processes as a result of it.